My name's Tim Singletary. He invited me to come down and talk to you guys this afternoon. I think this is the third or fourth year I've done this. And I typically do a lot of Darknet stuff. It's one of the areas that I specialize in. My company does a lot of penetration testing, vulnerability, that type of stuff. That's kind of my background. I've been doing this for 20 some odd years now. So again, I do have a little bit of knowledge. I'm not going to say I'm the greatest out there. I would never say that because that would invite hackers to come and attack me. So yes, I'm really stupid for anybody watching. You can get into my stuff any day. A little bit about myself. This is the I Love Me slide that they make me always do here. I'm the business area manager for cybersecurity programs for Peraton. I've got multiple domains underneath me and groups, everything from software development, all the way to Darknet intelligence and threat intelligence that we do for both commercial and government customers as well. I've got some really interesting characters, as you can probably imagine, that work for me, and some pretty scary characters at the same time. This is one of those cases where you don't want to take off your employees because it may come back to haunt you. I've contributed to a couple of books. The latest one here. I was also a former member of Foundstone. Anybody remember Foundstone back in the day? Yeah, a couple of hands. Man, it's really getting bad. It used to be everybody heard of Foundstone, the hackers. Now no one remembers them. They're still around, believe it or not. They're, what are they, IBM Security now, I think is who actually owns what's left of them. I've done a lot of teaching. I did a lot of stuff for the Air Force, the Regional Computer Emergency Response Team over in Europe, and yeah, I do a lot of presentations. And as Jay mentioned, I'm going to talk a little bit about a lot of things. Big data is one of those things. Law enforcement is one of those things. Society is one of those things. And I'm a little bit of an animated type speaker. I ask a lot of questions of you guys. You guys can ask questions of me. That's fine. I don't have any issue with that. The more interaction we have, the better off this is going to be. So let's look at the internet. And you guys may have seen something similar to this on other slides, other presentations. When we start looking at the actual internet itself, most people don't realize when you look at the internet, you're really not seeing the entire internet. You're seeing about 4% of the internet. So when you break this down and you look at the top of my pyramid here that says the internet, that's the Googles, the Bings, the Yahoos, online e-commerce, that type of stuff. That's about 4% of the internet. You go down to the next layer here, this is what we call the deep web. This is where you start getting into some of those malicious sites. Some of the porn sites, some of the online gambling sites, some of the sites that you can still readily find them, but you probably don't want to visit because now you're going to have a bunch of pop-ups up on your screens. You're going to start getting malware, viruses, backdoors, that type of stuff. Not a cool place to go. And then the last one here is the Darknet. This is the deepest layer of the internet, as we call it. This is where your bad guys are at, your threat actors, the nation states, the guys that are really trying to get into your computers. You definitely do not want to go and hang out on these places. These people will take over your computers, and the next thing you know, you got guys in black suits knocking on your door. Because now all of a sudden it just found out that your PC at home or your Amazon Echo or whatever else you have in your home has been attacking the Pentagon for 3 days. Because it was taken over by some bad guys because you went out to buy some brownies on the Darknet. We all know what kind of brownies they were buying. And yes, you can buy those and have them shipped to your house. They will FedEx them overnight so they're nice and fresh. You don't want stale brownies. That's the worst thing. Or you could just move to Colorado and just walk out down the street and buy them. But I have guys that work in Colorado for me. It's funny. So let's talk about data itself. So when you talk about big data, people think about these big industries, the Amazon Web Services, Microsoft Azure, and all these other big cloud providers that are out there. But in reality, when you think of the internet is big data because we all have our stuff up there. And this is one of the things that as a security professional has irritated me to no end over the last 10 years. Why are we putting our data up in the internet, in the cloud? I mean, seriously, it doesn't make a whole lot of sense to me, especially from a security perspective. But it's out there. You've got private clouds, you've got online e-commerce clouds, you've got Facebook, Twitter. How many of you guys have a Facebook or Twitter account? Show of hands. Oh, God's green earth, why? You like Mark Zuckerberg that much? I know you follow people, you communicate with your friends and family and all that other stuff, but you realize that other people can see this information as well. No, it's not. Trust me, if you saw what we can find out about you from your Facebook profile or your Twitter account, you probably would go delete it, but it's already too late anyways. So it's one of those things. People put too much out there, and that's one of my biggest complaints about the social media and the clouds that are out there. How many of you sync your iCloud or your iPhone with your iCloud? Anyone? Anyone? Yeah, it's a bad thing to do. And I'll tell you a quick story, and hopefully my grandson will never see this, even though I know they're recording it. But I got him an iPhone last summer. And it was actually my old iPhone, because I got myself a new one, and he was all thrilled about getting this iPhone. So I wiped it, set it up brand new, and given him this iPhone. And long story short, one day I'm looking in my photos, and I see this photo of a young lady. Excuse me? This is not right. I don't know this person. And then here comes another photo and another photo. He's 15. Yeah, you know what kind of photos I was looking at that I probably shouldn't have been looking at. But then I'm trying to figure this out, because now I'm waiting for my wife to see it, because then I'm really going to be in trouble of having these photos. And I start scratching my head. I log into my iTunes account. I start looking, and that's when I realized I looked at the metadata on the photos, and they were all coming from Florida. I live in New York. Guess who lives in Florida? My grandson. And then I did the geo on it, and I actually found out where it was coming from, and sure enough, it was coming from his neighborhood. And then I'm in a quandary here. What do I do? Do I call his dad and say, hey, you might want to say something to him because he shouldn't have these on there? And it was an issue. And then I talked to my wife. She was like, okay, so you tell him, you embarrass him, then he'll never want to come see us again. So it was one of those things. So it was very simple. I unforced the iCloud off of his phone for him and made sure it would never sync with my account again. But that's some of the things. How many people have done that by mistake and not realized it? These are some of the issues that we have out there, because once you put this data up there, it's always up there. And if you think the bad guys aren't out to get you, they are. So my quote of the day is, we're moving into a precarious time here. More and more people are disclosing their personal lives, patterns, information into the public domain. Once it's there, it's always there, and everybody thinks it's secure. Whose job is it to secure the cloud? Is it Apple's job? Microsoft's? Who owns the data? Sorry? A custodian of the data. Yeah, no. If you read the iCloud and the Microsoft Azure, if you read all those agreements, they're not responsible for anything. But technically, if you read the agreement even further, you'll find out it's no longer your data. It now belongs to Microsoft or Apple or Yahoo or wherever you uploaded it. It's now considered their data. Both. Okay, Sorry, I missed part of that. But anyways, I get what you're saying. If you're a corporation, you're going to make some type of an agreement with them. But in reality, though, they're going to have some clause to get out of being responsible for that data. I mean, we don't even have, do we have to talk and mention about Equifax? You know, are they responsible? They had all of our data. You know, what's the price they're going to pay? But don't want to get too wrapped up around the axle on that. What I want to know is, you know, how could we let this happen? Because we're the ones that put the data up there. We're the ones that put data up in the cloud, into the iTunes, the Facebooks, and all these other places. And we always expect the other person to secure it, and we don't do it ourselves. I mean, how many of you have a wireless at home? Almost everybody has wireless. How many of you went in, changed the configuration on your wireless, changed the default ports and default admin passwords? Okay, how many people in the U.S. haven't done that? A lot. But yet, if they get hacked, who's the first one that complains? They do. Oh my God, why didn't Linksys sell me one that was secure? Why didn't Netgear sell me the one that was secure? It's a society issue that we have to deal with right now. And it is a bit irritating as a security professional with dealing with some of these. So as of 2 October at 10:16, when I grabbed this shot here, data breach statistics. That's a lot of data breaches. That's a lot. That's yours, that's mine, that's everyone's. That's a lot of pieces of information. Now, who can tell me where this data's at? It is in the Darknet. Pastebin's got some. Darknet's got it. What is it doing on the Darknet? E-commerce is being sold. It is being sold left and right. All of your information is being sold. Who's it being sold to? Whoever wants to buy it. It could be Chinese, it could be Russians, it could be Libyans, it could be whoever wants to buy this information. It could be the guy next door. Whoever's got a little bit of Bitcoin in their pocket or their wallet and wants to buy themselves a new 60-inch LCD for the Super Bowl, you name it. There's a lot of e-commerce, and I was actually talking to a gentleman on the outside, or actually, yeah, in here, about the e-commerce side of the Darknet. They actually have a better understanding of e-commerce than the actual e-commerce world does, and they're more secure. It's amazing. It is. It is a multi-billion-dollar industry. We actually we have a piece of code that we actually monitor Bitcoin networks with. And the last time I looked at one of our boards in one of our cyber operations center, I'm sitting there watching the numbers go across, and it was 2 digits with 19 zeros behind it. And that was the last transactions in the last 2 hours. That is a lot of money. And that's just transactions going on the Bitcoin network. It's kind of interesting if you want to see this stuff. But our records and the data spillage is out there, and it's being used by the bad guys. So what's the root of the problem? Well, look around you. This is the root of the problem. The human factor. Humans have always been the weakest link in security. I do not care what you do. You can put the greatest firewall, the greatest antivirus, the greatest anti-malware, put it up there. The humans are always the weakest link. We're lazy. We take shortcuts. We always want to put the blame on someone else for securing things. Industry hasn't made it any better. They've made it worse as well, by pushing out technologies that aren't ready for prime time. Let's start off with TCP/IP. Anybody here ever heard of TCP/IP? It's basically what the internet rides on. All of our data transmissions, all this stuff that we're sending about the ether reel and the internet is all done by the protocol of TCP/IP. There's other protocols, but that's the primary one. So when was TCP/IP developed? Actually, it was late 60s. And we're still using it today. Have we made any major changes to it? No. So we're using a technology that was developed back in the 60s to secure our information today at 2017. There's a problem. And we haven't fixed it. We never will fix it. And why can't we change the protocols we use? Oh, well, then we have to go back and make all of our equipment this. And then the e-commerce, oh, no, you can't do that. That means that we're telling everybody what we've been selling them is not secure. I've heard it all from the e-commerce world. Society thinks it's someone else's responsibility. I'm not going to beat it to death. I've already talked about that. Corporate world is more concerned about dollars than security. Now, some of you may live in the corporate world that are sitting in here, and you may want to argue that fact with me, but I'd be willing to bet I'd win eventually. Because I've been in the corporate world way too long, and it always comes down to return on investment. Even, look at Equifax. One server, one patch that wasn't done, and what does it cost them? And yeah, you got the CEO that was up there yesterday screaming that it was one person's fault because he didn't apply a patch. But I guarantee you they didn't apply a patch because they couldn't regression test that server to make sure that web application would continue functioning. So they took the risk of not patching it. That's what it's all about. So e-commerce in the corporate world is not making it any better. I cannot tell you how many times I've stood in a room with CEOs, CIOs, and CSOs that have stood around and said, Tim, can you guarantee that the fixes that you want to implement on this are not going to take the systems down? And I'm not stupid. I'd never guarantee that. Especially when you got a bunch of homegrown financial applications that were coded 20 years ago and they're still using Windows NT 4. No, I would never guarantee this. And they go, oh, well, we can't implement these. Let's put in another firewall. Excuse me, you're putting in another firewall and you're opening the same ports to the same web application. What good are you doing? Oh, well, it looks good to the board of investors. Okay, you spent some more money on a firewall. So anyways, so think about all the breaches that are out there. Well, we need to prove who you are and open an account. What do you need to do here? Name, birthday, credit card numbers. This is what's known as knowledge-based trust. A lot of companies and a lot of financial organizations use this. What's your mortgage payment? What's your car color? What's all this other stuff? So I know right now 143 million Americans that their entire knowledge trust database just got stolen. Now, this is just the most recent one. I think the speaker before me was talking about all the breaches, so I won't beat all those to death. But let's look at OPM. Everybody remember the OPM breach? Anybody that's ever been in government service? All of your records and information out. All this information's out there. I can go open an account, close an account, and here's the thing. The young lady before me was talking about, yes, let's go freeze our credit. Malarkey. Because I have the knowledge base to unfreeze your credit. Hackers aren't stupid. Bad guys aren't stupid. They actually think. Every time we think of one way to stop them, they think of two ways to unstop them. How many digits are in a PIN? Okay, PINs are created or either chosen by you, and they typically anywhere between 4 and 6 digits. So they created a PIN for you, which means it was a computer and an algorithm that created it, which means all I need is get a couple of pieces of that PIN or either a good example of that PIN, and how long would it take me to reverse that and have an algorithm to create my own. I guarantee you that we can go out on the Darknet right now and find a whole list of those pins. Wait, say again?
Did they took them too?
I'm sure that somebody on the Darknet's already looked into it. They're a lot faster at reacting than we are. And that's the scary part about the Darknet. So another little quick story here. Doctor visit in the heart of the problem. I'll make this one really quick. This is actually 2015. It was myself. I needed to go get a stress test, and my wife went with me. And you can read here, but the gist of the story here is they told me I had to go downstairs to the testing facility. And as me and my wife walk over to the elevator, I hear the assistant one. Now this is checking in, the administrative assistant for the hospital, that says, I can't get the stupid computer to let me in. Assistant 2 goes, did you use the right password? And I start getting chills up my back. Assistant 1, of course, password 1. I'm really getting chills, and I start turning around. My wife's grabbing me. No, it's uppercase P, lowercase ASSWORD 1. Really? Yep, that worked. Guys, I cannot make this up. This actually happened at a very large hospital in upstate New York. And I'm standing there at the elevator, and my wife is like, get in the elevator. Do not go over there. But this was the administration of a hospital. So if they're using passwords like this, think about this. What is that hospital connected to? Insurance companies, other hospitals, doctor's offices, all of your medical records. And this password gets you into the admin? Holy smokes, you gotta be kidding me. And I don't know if you know, but in New York State, all the hospitals are connected. Oops. So it's just one of those things. It drives me nuts. So be careful what you ask for. Has anybody been to Shodan? A couple of you. So some of you know about Shodan. So if you don't believe me, you can actually go out to Shodan. It's a website there. He goes out there and he maps all of these open systems. And he will actually map industrial control systems. So the systems that are running our infrastructure, lights, power, that type of stuff. He will get your baby webcams. He will get your Amazon Echoes, your Microsoft devices that are sitting there. And he puts them on a map. He'll even tell you all about them. He'll tell you what the default passwords are, the IP addresses, the geolocation. He'll even let you log into them from his site. Yeah, it's kind of scary. What's really scary is when you go and look at the databases. Because when you look at the databases here, let me just make sure I got the right one here. Time Warner. Yeah, this is a Time Warner cable. You know, they tell you to always make sure you turn your phone off. That's just work. Hang up. This is the one that I think I was looking for. Anybody stay in the Sheraton Hotel down here while you're here for your visit? That's what that one was. That's an industrial control system that was identified, and I know I'm walking over there, but I got to walk. And it shows that it's in New York City. Tells you the unit ID, the slaves that are hung off of this particular industrial control system, the IP address, and what provider is providing the service, which is Time Warner Cable. If you go and keep digging into this, the organization that owns this is the Sheraton Hotel. And that's here in New York City. And host name is 62 blah blah blah.nyc.electricfiber.net. Tells you that it has port 21, 23, and 502, which is the industrial control system port, which means I can touch this thing from where I was sitting in upstate New York. And I can touch the industrial control port, which means I can do what? Send it commands. So if I know how to talk to industrial control systems, turn the lights off. It's not that hard to do. And this is one simple one. Trust me, there are literally thousands and thousands, if not hundreds of thousands of these out there, and it's kind of scary. Which one is this one here? Oh, I love this one. We talked about big data. This one is sitting out there, and this one belongs to Amazon.com. And it has unpatched services running on it. And if you pay a close enough attention over here, it has actually found 2,456 Amazon.com servers that are running this version. Oops. Underneath that one was Microsoft Azure databases in the cloud. So again, as a bad guy, if I really wanted to do bad things, it's not hard to find this information. And by the way, this is not the Darknet. This is open ClearNet stuff. We haven't even gotten to the really bad stuff. All it takes is a little bit of ingenuity and being able to think about this stuff. And if that wasn't enough, industrial control systems, lights, power, your home cameras, your home wireless, your financial, your banking accounts, now we have this problem. Now all of the AI robots are going to kill us, according to security researchers. First of all, I would like to know who paid for this study, because I could have done it in about 5 minutes. I actually think this came out of MIT, but still, it's like, you're kidding me. First of all, why would you publish this? Second of all, why would you waste money on this? Third of all, it's a computer. Of course you put malware on it and you can make it do crazy things. Whatever. So let's get back on course here. Let's talk about law enforcement, because this is one of the issues that I've had here of recent. Again, my company, we do Darknet, and we work with a lot of law enforcement agencies. And we have a lot of issues with some of the law enforcement agencies, some we don't have issues with. So big data, it's all around us. Who would like to see it go away? Show of hands. Big data. Couple of us? Couple of us? Okay, my hand's way up there. I would love to see big data go away, but it's never going to go away. You know, I would rather see it get secured, but that's not going to happen. So if it's not going to get secured, then it needs to go away. It's life. You know, as my wife keeps telling me, it's job security for you, so don't worry about it. I'm like, okay. So why do we want to put our data in one place without knowing who's securing it? That again is kind of crazy to me. And everybody always thinks it's someone else's problem. When breaches happen, typically it's the citizens that are usually the first ones that go out there and start complaining about this. And that's part of the problem as well. If you're going to put your data up there, don't complain about it. It's just one of those things. Law enforcement, computer crimes are still vague and open to interpretation. Every state, every municipality, every county is different. They have different laws, different regulations. And then on top of that, you have that police officer that has to read those laws and has to interpret those laws. That's even different. I can go talk to you as a police officer and then go talk to you as a police officer and you give me two different versions of the law. It's all up in the air right now. You know, and there's not a quick solution for this. Society is broadcasting everything that they do out on the open internet. Again, I don't get it myself. I do not have Facebook, Twitter accounts, all that stuff. Never have, never will. Just is not me. I have better things to do with my time. So, checkmate, hackers. What do they have? Well, first of all, they don't think they have to abide by anyone's laws. Second of all, where are they? Where's the hackers at? Could be in Russia, could be in China, could be in South Korea. They could be anywhere. They could be next door, and you would never know it. And when you're looking at the Darknet and how the Darknet works with the Tor and the proxies, you'd never be able to trace them back anyways. I mean, just by default, if I remember off the top of my head, it bounces you through 13 different proxies. So it's very hard to trace these back. Hackers typically work in groups. So they have groups. So I got a Cisco guy, I got a database guy, I got a networking guy over here, I got someone that knows Python, and we work in groups and we work together. And each one of them are in different countries. Yeah, try and trace that back. It's going to be virtually impossible to do this. Have little to no morals. In reality, they don't. They will steal anything they can. They absolutely will. Anything that looks of value, they will take. So on the darknet, on the black market, darknet side of things, what is the most valuable thing right now? Anybody know? Somebody should know. Anonymity, no. What for sale? What's the most valuable thing for sale? I heard Social Security. That's not it. Yep, she got it. Medical records. Medical records are the most valuable thing. It's even more valuable than Social Security number. It's more valuable than your credit card number. Your credit card number, yeah, I can buy a few things and hopefully it won't get shut down. A medical record, though, I can get drugs. And then I can turn around and resell those drugs to other people for even more money. And most likely, the doctor's not going to stop giving you those drugs. So I'm going to be able to get those drugs for a long time. And then I'll start faking those drug prescriptions and even getting more prescriptions. It's just a whole chain reaction when it comes to medical records. So again, they have more resources. They have cool computers. Trust me, they have some of the best equipment out there. They have good networking skills, great funding, because a lot of them are funded by the governments or groups, or even, there's gangs that are funding these guys. There's mafia type organizations that are funding these guys. There's a lot of money out there. Computer crimes are still vague. So again, if they get caught, what happens to them? What happens to a bad guy? Okay, so I'll go to jail for a year, maybe 2 at best. But I just stole $10 million and I've got it hidden away in a Swiss account. I'll do 2 years. And it's not going to be hard time either. It's a risk they're willing to take. So they're going to take it. They don't work 9 to 5. How many of you guys work 9 to 5? Or at least you work regular hours, right? Maybe 7 to 10. That's more like my hours. In the city here, I think that's probably it. The driving is atrocious around here. But these guys don't work 9 to 5. They work when they feel like it. They work when you're asleep. They work when you're not looking. I mean, when they're working with their other partners in this crime, they're going to look and see how much activity is coming from your sites, how much attention that you're paying to security, when you've got the most bandwidth, the least bandwidth. They're going to do all this heavy load work, so they know when to attack you. They know when to do the big database dump. I'm not going to go and pull that Equifax database down in the middle of the day when somebody can see it. I'm going to wait. I'm going to go around inside and see if I can funnel that database through another system and another system and another system and make it go out the back door. These guys are smart. So you just have to know that. Law enforcement themselves. First of all, for the majority of them, they have morals. I hope so. They're cops. A couple of them are questionable. They have limited time. They work 9 to 5 or whatever their shift is. They have to prove intent to break the law. That is very difficult to do when it comes to a computer crime. Actually, to any crime, it's very hard to do. You have to have evidence. Computer evidence is volatile. It goes away very fast. Bad guys know this. If it's across the country, how are you going to get a search warrant for a different country? There's a lot of issues involved when it comes to doing computer crime, especially internationally. They have limited resources, computers, knowledge, networking ability. Has anyone ever gone to a law enforcement agency and actually looked at their IT department? It's a sad state of affairs in the U.S. I've been to some of them where they got like 2 laptops and 1 guy for an entire city. And we're not talking small cities, we're talking big cities. And I'm like, you guys are kidding me. This is all you've got for your IT support? I'm like, yep, that's it. It is a sad state of affairs. They have to deal with bad guys and the rights of private citizens. Yes, we all have rights. They are not allowed to monitor stuff that we're doing, and that's where we start getting into some of these issues, especially when you start talking about social media and all these other things that you're posting out there. State to state, agency to agency, things change, laws change, interpretation changes. I actually went to, I won't tell you which police department. I went there, and when I walked in the door and I told them what I did, and I says, hey, I'm here to help you guys. And they were like, oh, vampire, get out, leave. You do Darknet stuff. Yeah. We're going to help you out. Free. Nope, we don't want you in the building. Okay. Went one town over, walked into that police department, told them what we did. We're going to help you out for free. And oh my God, I was their best friend. And I says, look, if we get to this stage of this investigation, you're going to need to get a search warrant. They go, don't worry about that, man. You get me the evidence. Don't worry about the search warrant. Go, hey, whatever. It's your case, not mine. But that just shows you the difference mentality between the different police departments and the different individuals in the police departments. So everyone's a little bit different, and you're having to deal with that, and it's a very hard thing to do. Law enforcement and big data. Federal government cannot store data on U.S. citizens, or can they, is the question. Can the government store data on you?
I think we already know they are.
How do you know they are? Shh, microphones. Oh, wait.
I don't know, Edward Snowden.
Edward Snowden? That didn't prove a whole lot. Okay, by the constitutional rights, the government cannot store data on U.S. citizens for more than a certain period of time unless they have a reason to believe that there's terrorist activity going on with that individual. And it's a very short period of time before they have to dump the data. Or they have to reprove that you are a terrorist threat or associated with a terrorist threat. That's one of our biggest issues out there right now, is they cannot store data on U.S. citizens. Local law enforcement has the same requirements, but what if they go rogue? I know some local law enforcement guys, they might have some data on people. And this is what you have to think about. When they're building a case against an individual, say I'm building a case against you, not you're a criminal, so I can store data on you all day long because I suspect and I have a warrant for gathering this data and storing it and building a criminal file against you. But if the guy next to you and are friends and you're sharing data and this, that, and the other, I cannot store anything on him unless it's directly affected by the crimes that you're doing. And then I have to get a warrant to store his data. It's very difficult for law enforcement to deal with this stuff. It just makes their job almost impossible to do this. Now the difference is commercial companies don't have this same issue. I don't have to have a search warrant to store data on you. Who stores data on you guys? ISPs? Facebook? Twitter? Yahoo? Microsoft?
Equifax?
Equifax? Yes. Oh, there he is back there. I felt like I heard the microphone. Equifax? These companies don't have to have a warrant to store data on you. Look at the marketing companies that are out there storing data on you and then reselling your data. They don't have to have a search warrant. They don't have to have anything to store data on you. The biggest thing that they have to do is as they're taking the data in, they have to manipulate the data. So they have to add something to your data. So in this case, I gathered all your search history from you surfing my website, and then I'm going to add in there that you like lawnmowers. So I took your information, but I added something to it. So now I'm allowed to store that data forever. Interesting, isn't it? The law enforcement can't, but the public can. So what should law enforcement do? Partner with commercial companies? Yeah, you'd think that would be the answer. They can't. Fake it? Nah, faking it's not going to work either. There are certain cases where they can work with commercial companies, and we do help law enforcement as much as we possibly can, but there are some very fine lines that you cannot cross when you're working and dealing with law enforcement, but it is one of those things, it's very irritating as a security professional when you're trying to help law enforcement and prevent crime, that our hands are tied so much. So what are some typical uses of big data? And some of the things that we've looked at: tracking gang members. You know, gang members use Facebook, Twitter, Snapchat. It's very easy to trace them because they don't care. They know you're looking at them, but they also know that you can't store it. And then they use slang. And a lot of times, I'm looking at some of this stuff that's coming in some of our systems, and I go, what the heck are these people talking about? And then I learned about a year ago that when I hire my analysts, I have to have a group of young ones that are still in college. I get interns that come in and people that are just out of college because they know the slang. And we actually have a database and list of slang words and what it translates to. And some of these are just really whacked when it comes to some of the slang terms. I'm like, I had no clue that meant that. But it does. So tracking gang members is one thing that we can use big data for. Monitoring high target events, state fairs, sporting events, concerts. And trust me guys, I put this up before Las Vegas, but it could have been monitored. There's lots of things that could have been monitored. So let me give you a good example. Say something happened in Las Vegas here. How cool would it have been is if within split seconds or a minute or 2 minutes of that happening in Las Vegas, is if I could have brought up a Las Vegas map, geofenced the MGM Grand and that whole area and captured every single tweet and Facebook post coming out of there for the last 10 to 30 minutes. Would that be beneficial to law enforcement? Absolutely it would. And technically, we have the technology to do that, but law enforcement can't use it. So again, it's one of those things where you have to be careful what you're doing. Searching for a local crime ring, chat sessions, monitoring drug movement, high school activity, gang, drugs, bullying, violence. What if I geofence a high school? I got a high school with a lot of problem with bullying and drugs. I geofence it. And I start monitoring all the tweets, the Snapchats, and the Facebooks. Kind of cool, isn't it? Lots of things that we can do with some of these technologies. Again, it's unlimited with the different things that we can do. And I grabbed a couple of screenshots. I know I'm getting close to my time. Of some things off the Darknet in case. How many people have been on the Darknet? A couple of you? And you did it safely, right? You did not do this from your work computer? You didn't do this from your cell phone. Nothing like that. If you did, please go home and smash it. Drugs. Do we have an opioid problem in America? Absolutely. But look at this. It's for sale every day of the week. And you can order this and have it FedEx to your house. Or you do like the smart guys do. And actually, I just saw something on the news. I don't know if it was here or back home the night before, where this lady got a FedEx shipment of pot brownies. Went to the wrong address. You know, a lot of these guys, what they'll do is they'll drive around neighborhoods. They'll find for sale signs on houses. They'll use that as a mailing address. They'll order this stuff. They'll drive over there the next morning. They'll pull the for sale sign up, throw it up in the bushes, and they'll sit in the driveway and wait for FedEx. FedEx drops it off. Oh, yeah, I was getting ready to go to work. Yeah, just give it here. All right, they're out of there. There's other people that are looking at it. Commercial companies can look at it.
Okay, so they're looking at that information.
They just can't store it. But see, do you know how fast tweets and posts come in? It's hard. So if you're not storing it where you can go back and look at it, it's hard to do. You know, again, imagine in a city block where you get a shots fired call. Boom, automatically geofence that. Now you know every witness that was around that area, even if they don't want to claim that they were a witness. Hey, did you hear this? Hey, did you do that? It's an easy, and then you start getting people start getting paranoid about cops. Here's another quick one. Weapons for sale. Anybody want a 9mm? Guys got 9mm for sale? Serial numbers already scraped off of them. You can also get AKs, M16s, grenade launchers. One guy actually got a box of hand grenades FedEx to his house up in Michigan. He was brilliant. He actually got caught with a box of hand grenades. Bad stuff. Your information is out there. Here's a quick screenshot from one of our engines that goes out and looks for stolen credit cards. Yay! I know I'm walking again here. MasterCard, Visas, all the different banks that are out there, the credit card numbers, the numbers for the back of the credit cards. And then when you start looking over here to the right, I actually get all your information as well, your name, your address, all the other information that's associated with your credit card. All sitting out there on the Darknet for anybody to go grab. Just give me your name, I run it through our system, and boom. I can tell you who's got your credit card, who doesn't have your credit card, or at least where it was sold. Spying on American citizens without court order is a violation of law, the Fourth Amendment. Again, this is part of the issue where cops have a hard problems trying to use these type of systems for law enforcement. Occasionally, though, they can get around some of these things, and I know I need to wrap this up a little bit. So what does law enforcement need in order to help themselves with computer crime? Well, they need the same tools as the bad guys. They need better equipment, they need more knowledge, and they need to have the handcuffs removed from themselves. As citizens, we need to stop whining. Sorry, I know they got recorded. We need to stop whining. If I'm not doing anything illegal and I have a Facebook account, I don't really care if a cop looks at it. Especially if he's protecting me and my family. But yet, you get some people, oh, you can't look at my Facebook account. It's public knowledge. It's not your Facebook account anymore. Anyways, as a citizen, secure your own data. Come on, guys. Don't have all these open net, clear wireless devices and echoes, and fix your own problems before you start yelling about other people. Oh, I already did the stop whining. Get your private data out of the cloud if you do not want it there, but in reality, it's probably too late for that anyways. So, all that doom and gloom, I will leave you with something at least that's a little bit cheerier on this. And I got a clip here, and I will set this up for you a little bit. The detective approached us and had a burner phone. And he knew that this guy was running guns up from Georgia to upstate New York. They had been investigating this gang for about 8 months and had nothing on them, could not find anything on them. All they had was a burner phone that the guy had dropped when they were chasing him. So they gave us the burner phone and said, see what you can do for us. And if this plays correctly, and hopefully we have sound. I'm used to my Mac. Or your function, yeah. Right, well that's mute. Yeah, it came up there. Wait, where's the mouse? There it is. Well, I see it on the screen. It's not moving though.
Try that one.
All right, hopefully we have audio on this. If not, I'll just have to tell you.
Have made a serious dent in the most the gangs we allege.
Where are we at here?
It's coming through the room.
Gotta love when a plan comes together. Yeah, I went way too fast, didn't I? All right, last attempt, then I'll just tell you.
It's an investigation that led to an overflowing courtroom. Dozens of people have been charged as part of a massive drug bust in Syracuse, many of them members of the notorious Bricktown gang on the south side.
We have made a serious dent in the most the gangs we allege to be the most serious and most violent drug dealing gangs in Syracuse.
The Attorney General says some members of the Bricktown gang conspired to murder members of another Syracuse gang. They're also accused of trafficking heroin and cocaine. It took a year for the AG's office to conduct the investigation along with local law enforcement.
It is because of focused resources and responses that we can fight the scourge that violence and drug dealing has brought to our city and to other places.
Some of the evidence includes drugs, cash, and guns.
We were targeting the most violent gangs, the community's hardest hit, the worst of the drug dealers.
And he hopes that will make an impact on the streets.
This should have an impact not just on drugs, the availability of drugs, but on the level of violence.
And officials expect the intelligence gathered in this investigation to serve them in the future. In Syracuse, Karina Capabianca, Spectrum News.
All right, so something actually went right for a change. Now, Bricktown Gang, largest drug bust in New York history, just happened. And how did we catch him, or how did they catch him? I had a burner phone number. I searched all of Facebook until I found some gentleman that had posted that phone number and said, "Hey girl, hit me up on this number." And now I had him. So sometimes things do go right. It takes a lot of digging, but sometimes it does. And Jay's telling me I got to shut up because everybody came to do their drawing.